we put together a list of 3 players that we would target via trade if we were the Maple Leafs. Do you want to go first with your top 3?
Sure. The one that stands out to me is Nazem Kadri. I think if you put him on this roster and you step back and look at it, especially the forward group, you're just like, oh my God, like it looks really deep and really heavy, and the skill is still there. Kadri, I still think of him as this young guy because he was a rookie when I was playing with him, but he's not. He has a plethora of experience. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's played multiple years under Nathan McKinnon, where that's a guy where I just think everything he does it the right way. He is hyper focused on winning. He is singularly focused on being a professional, and he's a guy that he's on your team, everyone else automatically gets better and starts doing things the right way. Naz has been under that guy for years. And he plays with that snarl. Like he's got that FU attitude. He's kind of cocky. I want that. You need that in Toronto, right? You want to be under the pressure. You want to be under the lights. You want to be under the scrutiny, and you believe in yourself so much that you have that swagger. And Naz has had swagger in spades his entire life. I think that would serve him well in this role. I remember when he was kind of run out of Toronto, it was basically because he was getting suspended in the playoffs by trying to run around and hammer guys in put his stamp on the game in the series, and was a little bit young, a little bit inexperienced, and didn't really go about it in a way that led to success. But I think that with his experience behind him, he could absolutely be that guy now, and I think he would make this team a lot better. Another guy is Vincent Trocheck. To me, I think that he's 32 years old, so he's got the experience. I just think that, again, you put him in this lineup where he would fit, and it's like there's kind of a big missing piece in this forward group, kind of in that middle 6 type of deal. And to fill it with a high-end guy like Trocheck, it would just like the balance would just be like humming, Not sure if that's possible. I think you mentioned they're probably about to announce him captain. So if that's realistic or not, I'm not sure. And then I just threw in a flyer here with Rupe Hintz, a centerman, high-end skill, playing, his points per game is way up there. I think that he could be a player that would just bring a lot of value down the middle and make this team a lot better. And it's probably very much a pipe dream, though.
Fair enough. Great job with the list. I tried to be more tactical with my list. I thought a lot about a multitude of different centers, some that you mentioned, and I just wondered maybe it makes more sense to acquire a center at the trade deadline and not now. And some of the options, aside from number 1, I don't know how much it would cost, but it wouldn't cost like an exorbitant amount where you're trading Danford and Cowan. So I'll go 3, 2, 1. I'll start with number 3. This one's off the board a bit. I'm going to go with Luke Evangelista on the Nashville Predators. RFA right now, he's 23, a right winger from Oakville, Ontario, which you love. Played for the London Knights, 55 rips in his final season in the OHL. He's had ups, he's had downs so far early on in his career with the Nashville Predators. But he's the perfect example of a guy similar to what they tried to do with Matthias Michelli, like jump ahead of the curve, like get the next guy before he is the guy, bring him in, and then get him to that next level. I think Evangelista is a guy who has proven the ability he can score at every level he plays at, and now it's finding that consistency. And that's what separates players, I think, at the NHL level. And I would take a flyer on him. I don't think it would cost too much. So I got Luke Evangelista at number 3. Number 2, I'm going to Calgary, but it's not Nazem Kadri. I'm going to go with Blake Coleman. He's got 2 years left at $4.9 million. He's 33. Most importantly, this guy is versatile. He could play on your first line. He could play on your fourth line. He could play center. He could play the wing. And he's won recently. He won back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think it would be an easy decision, at least for me, to go after a character, a grit guy like Blake Coleman. So he's number 2 for me. And number 1's a guy we've talked about quite a bit. He's on the thumbnail on today's show, Mason McTavish. I just think this guy checks way too many boxes, and he could play the wing. He can play up the middle. I think ideally you're looking for somebody for John Tavares to pass the torch to when it comes to the 2C position. And I think McTavish is a prime illustration of that type of player where down the road, whether it's next year or 2 years from now, you want JT in the 3C hole or you want him on the wing. I think it makes that transition easier when you have a guy like Kadri or a guy like Mason McTavish, who's just 22, and he's going to get paid. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be with Anaheim or somewhere else. Doesn't sound like an offer sheet's going to be in the mix here this summer. He's going to make his money, but I think he's at a point where he hasn't totally popped off yet. And he's another, again, great example of a guy that you're waiting. Maybe you get him before he completely pops off. I mean, higher pedigree with where he was drafted, but that's sort of what my approach would look like if I was Brad Treliving, trying to find a guy who's ready to pop off. I know number 2 is Blake Coleman, who's a vet who's won before, but it's hard to find a winning pedigree the way you'd find in Blake Coleman. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.